Hey y'all, I hope you're doing good. Today is Sunday and I wanted to continue on with our little Sunday church series that we've been doing. Now, unfortunately this morning I did not make it to church. It wasn't for lack of wanting to go, but my alarm, I set 2 alarms. My first alarm went off, my second alarm unfortunately did not. So I was really disappointed that I couldn't go today, but I'll probably re-listen to the message later on live tonight on my church. I'm going to link that below, my church's information, and they also do live broadcasts of their sermons and play music and stuff. So if you're interested in that, the times and the website will be located below. So, even though I didn't make it today, I did want to speak about a topic that I struggle with very much, and I think a lot of people really have a hard time with, and that is forgiveness. Now, there is not a person in this world, unless they're like a newborn baby almost, that hasn't experienced some form of pain, hurt, loss. Sometimes I feel like we experience things that cause us pain and we don't realize until later on in life where that pain is stemming from, like which exact event hurt us. And I know there are people in this world, I mean, even people in my family included, I don't consider them in my family, but like especially my biological dad, you look at them and you're like, how in the world could I ever forgive them? How could I ever do that? For not being there, for being hurtful, for being mean, for being somebody, for choosing to not be somebody that you could have been in my life. So instead of choosing to step up and, you know, in his instance, be a great dad, he lives like 15-20 minutes from me. All it would have taken is a 15-minute drive, you know, for certain things, like to have a relationship with me and whatnot. But people make choices sometimes based off of themselves, that they're very self-centered choices, and they hurt other people, and they're not fair. And no matter how much we think about them or reason with them, it's kind of like reasoning with a brick wall. Therefore, we carry all this pain with us, and this anger and this rage, and it's hard to heal when the other person isn't sorry. I guess that's the best way to say it. It's much easier to forgive a person when they come to us and they're like, can we go to coffee? Or, you know, I just had something I wanted to tell you, by like calling us and being like, I screwed up, it was my bad, and I'm very sorry I hurt you. That can be so healing. Those are the hardest words to speak. I know they are. There's some people that I wish I had the courage to actually say that to, because I have definitely said some things and done some things in my life that I am not proud of. So when I tell y'all a couple of verses and read y'all this story, I want you to know that this really is something that I personally struggle with on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like forgiveness is kind of like a healing process, meaning it doesn't happen overnight. No, I can't speak for everybody, but at least for me, I can't just sleep on it and go, okay, I forgive you. I mean, maybe in some cases where somebody were to come to me and they were to, like I said, ask for forgiveness and be like, I really screwed up, I'm sorry. I have so much more respect for that, and I think I can move on from the incident a lot faster than somebody who doesn't say anything or avoids or pushes me away or pretends it didn't happen and that I'm being ridiculous because I feel hurt and not acknowledging, you know, any kind of pain that they caused me. So let me read you a couple of verses on forgiveness. I have my computer right here. I am going to be looking down, so I apologize about that. But I hope, if nothing else, that this will just help us think for a minute about forgiveness and about what it's doing to us. Like, is it weighing us down? Is there somebody that we could truly maybe even write a letter to and tell them, you know, we forgive them, or that we're, you know, sorry for something that we did to them and whatnot? So forgiveness, Ephesians 4:31 through 32 in the NIV version. Verse 31 says, get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Verse 32, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. So I definitely think that God wants us to forgive each other, and He definitely speaks about that in the Bible. All you have to do is Google verses on forgiveness and you will come up with verses on forgiveness. Isaiah 1:18 in the NIV version. Verse 18, come now, let us settle the matter, said the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are as red as crimson, they shall be like wool. So that's really important to you, because God's letting us know that even our worst sins, our brightest sins, our most obvious sins that other people can recognize, he is willing to like forgive those and transform those into something else. So something that I truly respect about Christianity and the Lord is that he really pushes to not hold judgments on people, not hold their past to them in the future, and to give forgiveness and be compassionate and loving so that we can move on as people. And just carrying all that weight with us, all that pain, I mean, there's no way to really explain it. And I know I've carried a lot of things for many, many years. I still carry things. And being able to put trauma down and pain down is so difficult. There's not even a word for it. It's challenging, it's frustrating, it's just not easy, and it's something you kind of have to pray about. Go to church and, you know, do some prayer there and write some things down. Sometimes just like sermons I listen to will speak to me. Like they will just speak like verses and topics that have to do a lot with what I'm dealing with. And that helps a lot with healing. Reach out to people, let them know you're in pain, let them know what you're dealing with. A lot of your friends will listen to you and they will allow you to put a little bit of that emotional weight onto them. Going to counseling is a great way to like put things down as well. So just writing, blogging, starting a free blog, that is really helpful. Even starting a YouTube channel and speaking out about depression or whatever it is in your life that you are dealing with can be a great resource, because I found it to be incredibly supportive. Lots of people have reached out to me and it's healing. So forgiveness, basically, in my opinion, is about healing yourself and healing the other person that hurt you. So I want to read you guys a story based off of forgiveness that I actually love. I had 3 stories in mind, but I really like this one. So I want y'all to listen to it. I'm going to ask you a question about it, so make sure you're listening good. And I would like your opinion about the potential answer to the question. Now, nobody really knows. It doesn't say in the Bible, so if it doesn't say, no one truly knows. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that we can't have ideas or theories and whatnot. So this is called A Woman Caught in Adultery. It's just the abbreviation for this story. John 8:1-11 from the New Living Translation. So it's the NLT Bible. If you have a different version of the Bible, this story will be in there, but it may be worded differently. So this is the NLT version. All right. We're going to start at verse 8 and we're going to read through verse 11. So I'm going to be looking down here and reading to you guys, and then I'm going to ask y'all a question. Jesus returned to the Mount of Olives, but early the next morning he was back again at the temple. A crowd soon gathered, and he sat down and taught them. As he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something he could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up and said again, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Did even one of them condemn you?" "No, Lord," she said. And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." That's the end of that story. So let me ask you a question first. I would like your opinion of what you think Jesus wrote in the sand. It doesn't give any detail about what was in the sand, but whatever it was, he was answering the woman's accusers by writing something in the sand. And it states he wrote something in the sand twice. So I remember our church mentioning this a long time ago. I don't remember a lot of detail about it, but I do recall, that they posed a question to us, what did we think about it? What was there? And they may have given some ideas on it, but I'm just really curious as to, if you were there in that moment, say you were the accuser of that woman, because y'all, as much as I would like to say that I would be the woman in the story, I feel like as a human, we have all been the accusers, ready to stone a person. Now, do I think we would literally pick up a stone and kill people? No, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, judgment-wise, how many of us have looked at somebody else, maybe even on a daily basis, and looked down on them, or judged them, or been whether it's frustrated with their lifestyle, or, maybe we don't like their sexuality or something, or we don't agree with the topic that they spoke out on. It could be anything, and we're ready to just, like, gang up on that person and be like, no, you were wrong, I am right. Don't get me started on, like, politics and people discussing that, or even true crime on TV with people going back and forth and back and forth. Tons of judgment. Sports, like, people can get really into, like, talking about their sports, and before you know it, they're, like, literally ready to stone each other because, like, their team didn't win or something. So it's something really important to think about, and I think that it's a great message because Jesus is saying basically we've all sinned, and maybe our sin is different than each other, but we're not in a place where we should be like a person's final judgment. We don't know their life story. We don't know where they've been. We don't know why they were in that situation. For all we know, those accusers may have walked in on a woman and they may have misunderstood and thought she was committing adultery. You don't know. I mean, these are just people that presumed what they saw is what was happening, and then they brought her in front of Jesus and were sure that, she was going to be stoned to death. Now, back in those times, I am absolutely positive that happened. They had, like, harsh punishments, like, all kinds of things took place that would not take place today. But it wasn't like, so for instance, today, if a woman was about to be stoned, downtown or something where I live, of course people would stop it because it's not the norm. But back then, that was the norm, to probably stone a woman who committed adultery. Because it was the norm, Jesus still stopped it. So a lot of people can be, supportive of, like, the death penalty or whatever. That is kind of the norm today. If you commit a murder and kill 6 people, to potentially face the death penalty. And there's not going to be such, like, harsh judgment. But I just think it's really interesting that during a time where this was very normal and Jesus could have been like, yes, stone her. If y'all saw her committing adultery, I trust you, stone her. That he stopped it. And he's like, he ends it. He ends it for the woman. He gives her mercy, and he ends it for the people that are accusing her, and lets them know to, like, self-reflect back on themselves, and says, like, basically let the first person who hasn't sinned stone her, kind of thing. And they all knew. There wasn't one stone that flew because they all knew that they have sinned in their own way. So he gave the woman forgiveness, and ultimately the accusers walked away and forgave her as well. So I thought that was a really good lesson today, and let me know, like I said, what you thought about what was being written in the sand, what could have stopped those people, if you think it was self-reflection, if you think he performed some kind of miracle, if you think they saw, like, a reflection of themselves sitting in the sand. Like, I'm just curious. I just wanted to, like, open the topic up and whatnot. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Next Sunday I will definitely make it to church, or at least be able to watch it online. I love to be able to base it off of what my church is discussing, but I had saved a couple of stories and a couple of verses, and when I was reading through them today, I'm like, I think forgiveness would be a really good thing to bring to you guys and discuss it, because we're all working on it. We all struggle with it. I'm not coming to you as someone saying, I'm perfect and I know how to forgive. I'm saying this is a battle, and I know many of us are trying to heal and recover from so many different incidents, whether it be physical abuse, emotional abuse, stress-induced career stuff, all kinds of things, loss, people that died, people that left us literally unexpectedly. I'm not just talking about death, I'm talking about, like, divorce or cheating, things like that. And let's just remember that, Jesus had mercy on those people, so let's try to find it in our heart to, as hard as it is, to heal from it, to find a way to heal from it, to give ourselves time to recover from an incident. I think too often when people discuss forgiveness, they're like, just let it go, you're fine, recover from it, if you forgive them, you'll be okay. And I don't think that's how it works. I really don't. Not for everybody. Maybe for some people, everybody's journey is different, but for my journey, it's like self-injury, when I've been hurt really bad, an emotional injury, and you have got to let yourself heal from that, and you've got to get to a place where you need forgiveness, or you're ready to be able to give forgiveness to the person that caused that injury to you. So I feel like certain people in my family, it's been literally like a work in progress to try to get to where I can literally think about them and be like, you missed out and that's too bad, but, it's tough to even talk about because I'm not completely there yet. So I just want to show y'all it is a process, but I feel like if you can get there, if you can get to a place where you realize you've done things, you've screwed up, they screwed up too, maybe tons worse than you screwed up, but nevertheless, you know, it's still pain, that everybody in some way does deserve forgiveness. And at the end of the day, what I always tell myself is God will take care of it. That's been the biggest thing with my dad and the pain I've dealt with him not being there, and a couple of times he was there, like the experience of that and the pain he did cause me. I feel like God has told me when I have prayed about it and I've cried about it, I feel like I've heard, I will handle him. Give him to me. Let me handle the situation. You were not the one to do this yourself. I don't think that we should take out how we've been treated on ourselves. I don't think we should carry it, because I think at the end of the day, we deserve a lot better than that. And it's not fair of ourselves to let the other person win. And I feel like sometimes we let them win and control us by not letting it go a little bit for us, if that makes sense, and not healing from it, but continuing to carry on what they caused us. A lot of people that cause people pain get power out of that, they get control, they get pleasure from it, and we don't want to give people that. They don't deserve that. They deserve to just be like, you know, looked at, nod at them in public, and keep walking, because you're not going to let yourself get self-injured again. So I hope this made sense. If you have anything you would like to share, as always, feel free to post it below. My church's information will be posted below. My social media is posted below. I appreciate everybody that follows me and comments on my videos. Y'all have really done a great deal of self-healing for me. Y'all's advice and y'all's comfort during some really, really hard times. I appreciate it, guys, and know that I'm thinking about everybody, and if you're going through something, my heart really does go out to you. I know it's hard, and be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time. I'll see you guys later. Bye.